Hello everyone and welcome back to LewisFiction and welcome to another episode of Spectacular Spider-Man Season 5. If you have not seen any of the other seasons or any of the other episodes, make sure you go back and watch them before you watch this. It's getting near to the end now and I highly recommend you watch the whole series because it's going to get good. With that being said, enjoy the episode. Episode 10, The Christmas Dinner. We open the episode dramatically. Roderick Kingsley is arrested on sight. The police, including Captain Gene DeWolf, take him away as he pleads in the back of a car for clarity as to what he has done. As he steps into the cop car, he asks again, when Gene DeWolf says, "Roderick Kingsley, you're under arrest for the murder of innocent civilians and citywide destruction under the alias, the Green Goblin." We cut to Peter and Aunt May, who are sitting on the sofa. Peter hasn't had time to think about May much, but he's glad that all of the clone stuff is finally over, and he can focus on getting back to helping her. He sees some of the letters on the side. It's more bills. Even with Aunt May running ragged at Feast, she still can't seem to afford to pay the bills where she needs to. The constant destruction brought on by Spider-Man and his foes is raising the prices of New York housing as tax goes up. People like May can't afford to keep herself afloat. Even if she retires, she'll have nothing left. Peter knows he has to start looking for another job again. And then there's a knock at the door. It's Mary Jane. Peter says hi awkwardly as she enters their home. Aunt May gives her a hug and invites her in, as it is revealed that Mary Jane is officially moving in with them. After the partial destruction of her home during the Man-Spider attack and after the death of her aunt, she has nowhere to go. Aunt May kindly said that she could stay with her and Peter for as long as she wants. However, things between Peter and MJ still aren't at their best. MJ is still closed off, more closed off than she's ever been. Her exuberant personality is nowhere to be seen. She's quiet and timid. Peter knows that he still needs to give her space, and for her it can't be easy walking into the home of the guy she's literally trying her best to give a bit of room to, but he still needs to be there for her, when she's ready. During all of this time, the TV is on in the background, reporting the news as it is revealed about Roderick Kingsley's arrest. Peter looks over to the TV as he becomes invested, as MJ goes off upstairs to set up the spare room. Peter becomes laser focused to the television, as it is then revealed that Norman Osborn is back in town. Peter, holding a glass of water, drops it and gasps. The glass smashes on the floor in front of him. His voice quivers with fear. This catches Aunt May and Mary Jane off guard. MJ turns around to inspect what has just happened from the top of the stairs, and Aunt May asks if Peter is okay as she rushes over to help him. Peter says he's okay, he'll clean it up. He makes up the excuse that he just dropped it by accident. Peter carries on watching the TV when Norman Osborn comes on for an interview. The reporter asks Norman about the Goblin incident, and Norman reveals that the Goblin wasn't ever him. Kingsley framed him this entire time and tried to kill him in the process. Norman explains that he escaped Kingsley's grasp and finally got him arrested for his actions. As far as the world is aware, the Green Goblin was Roderick Kingsley, and not Norman Osborn. The news anchor then goes on to show footage that Peter could clearly tell had been doctored of Roderick Kingsley stealing the glider tech from Oscorp Industries. Peter gulps as he turns it off and sits down. Nothing said, no monologue, no internal narration. His eyes said it all. The fear and the terror. We cut to school, and it's the final day before the Christmas break. Everyone is finalizing their college applications, ready to submit them in the following year. Peter still doesn't know what he wants to do. However, on the MJ side of things, at a college workshop that all the students will attend, she will attend a booth for an acting school. She will be slightly interested, but hesitant. As this episode goes on, it will become clearer that MJ continually becomes interested in this acting school, and will really like the look of it. MJ being closed off and not being able to handle or display emotion correctly will see this as an escape. She will see this as something that she can do where she can play someone else, because being Mary Jane Watson right now kinda sucks. She wish that she could be someone else, anyone else. This idea infatuates her, and she becomes more interested in the acting course. Peter will also be there attending this workshop as well. He looks around. Biologist? Well, we all saw how that turned out. Engineer? Nah. Author? Absolutely not. Teacher? Well, he tutored Liz one time. Maybe. He laughs it off, thinking to himself that if there's a superhero course, he'd smash that. Peter returns home that day, and Aunt May seems more excited than usual to see him. Peter smiles and asks what's going on. When May tells him that he's had an invite, Peter asks what for, and May tells Peter that she's had a personal invite from Norman Osborn for a Christmas-themed dinner at his place, as a celebration of his return. He wants to invite them because of how good friends Peter was with Harry. Peter gulps and says yes, even though he'd really like to say no. But I guess this could be a good time to scope out this whole thing, Peter will think to himself. Why not keep an extra eye on Norman Osborn, see what's really going on? We cut to the dinner. Peter arrives at the Osborn mansion, arriving at the door with a security guard at the front. It's been a while since Peter has been inside this place, but funny enough, he remembers it like it was yesterday. He walks through to the dinner table, as Norman is sat at the other end on his laptop. Norman realizes and shuts it, leaping up from his chair, as it seems like Peter and May were the first to arrive. Norman says he's sorry for being so rude. He didn't see them walk in. Norman makes the long journey over to Peter, his eyes connecting with his. Peter hasn't seen this man in years, but it feels like he never left. On his way over, he has time to ask Peter how he's been, and that it's been a while. Peter will say it sure has, Mr. O, as Norman offers his hand out. Peter shakes it. However, Norman's grip was unusually tight. Norman tells Peter to cut that out. It's Norman, remember. Peter gives an awkward smirk as Norman lets go of his hand. Norman turns to May and greets her as well. They both sit down at the table as Norman gestures them to their seats. Before other guests start arriving, Norman starts quizzing Peter, asking him about his personal life and how he's getting on at school, and if he's applied to any colleges. Peter has always known Norman to be invested in his personal development through school, but was never invested as he was making out to be. Peter asks Norman how Harry is getting on, and Norman says that he's fine. He's almost completed his European tour. Peter says he looks forward to seeing him again. Norman cracks a slight smirk. The dinner goes on as the other guests arrive. Peter sweatily eats his food, very cautiously, eyeing every plate that comes out from the kitchen. Nothing set off his spider sense yet, but the good thing for Peter's sake is that Norman doesn't know who he is, or at least that's what Peter thinks. As the desserts come round, guests start mingling in different areas of the room, drinking champagne. And just when he thought he was in the clear, Peter's spider sense does go off. Peter jumps up from the table to cover Aunt May, expecting a pumpkin bomb of some kind when someone flies through the window, smashing it in the process. It's the Beetle person from a few weeks ago. Peter will say to himself that he forgot about this one, as everyone starts cowering for safety. Peter guides Aunt May out of the room as he jumps into action in his Spider-Man gear, kicking the Beetle in the face. The Beetle and Spider-Man engage in battle. However, it is over pretty quickly as Spider-Man comes out on top. It's not long before Jean DeWolf arrives on the scene as well. The Beetle's mask is pulled off to be revealed to be Janice Lincoln, the new girl in Peter's class. Peter is shocked by this, but for some reason it all made sense. It must have been the Lincoln name. Norman Osborn comes over and thanks Spider-Man personally, saying it's good to see him again. But Peter notices that he's acting really odd, almost like everything had fallen into place, almost as if he was a pawn in some great scheme, and almost as if Norman was expecting that attack. However, after everything is said and done, Peter returns to his civilian clothing to escort Aunt May home that night. We cut to a few days later. It's Christmas Day and spirits are relatively low. However, as Peter sat on the end of his bed flicking through different college courses, there is a knock at his door. He opens it to reveal MJ on the other side. He invites her in, and she says that she wants to talk. She tries to talk, but she can't. She just hugs Peter. Peter says that it's okay. MJ tells him that she didn't know how to react after her aunt died. She died because of Peter, but that wasn't his fault. None of this was his fault. But she couldn't help but think that if she hadn't wrapped herself up in his life, that things would have turned out differently. Not just for her, but for her aunt as well. Peter looks down and apologizes. MJ says he's not to apologize. She tells him that she's been looking at acting recently, and that she thinks she's going to go to an acting college. Peter says that he's happy for her. However, she explains that the more engrossed she became in the idea of escaping and becoming another character, and to take acting seriously, the more she realized that she was leaving her old self and other problems behind. Because she doesn't need to be someone else to feel love. When she has him, she will say as she looks up into Peter's eyes. She will say that she chose to be with Peter, and it was her decision even if he is Spider-Man, and she's going to stick by that. She will stick by him. She will explain as she places her hand on his. She will tell him that she loves him, as they kiss on the edge of his bed. Peter will smile and say that he loves her too. And as MJ came back around, a little bit of joy over Christmas shrouds the ever-growing terror brought back to New York City by Norman Osborn and the return of Spider-Man's greatest ever foe. Thank you for watching episode 10 of Spectacular Spider-Man Season 5. If you did enjoy, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to comment down below what you thought of this episode. We are getting so close to the end. I tell you, it's an insane finale. Norman has just met Peter. We've got a bunch of stuff about to go down. You are not going to want to miss the next couple of episodes. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care and peace.